Hello and welcome to this blizzard update. We have snow now developing, definitely going with the earlier timing here. The steadier, heavier snow already starting to move in here. You can see on the radar that heavier snow now moving into the area, the darker blues. Here we go. So now it's just a matter of now casting the storm, doing updates and things like that. Here it looks like on the satellite earlier. Let's refresh this now so you get an idea of what's happening here. So there's the storm right there. You can see it developing right there. This is the CONUS view. We'll go to the East Coast view here in a moment. Why is this not going? All right. Let's try this. Okay. So here's the storm right here. Look at that. Look at it. You can already see it taking shape already quite nicely. You can see the banding. Put this on 48 hours so you can sort of see what it looks like during the day. There's the storm taking shape. There you go. There you go. Look at that. So that's really impressive right there. Look at that. I told you this storm is going to look nice on the satellite, and it already looks nice on the satellite. Let's see if there's any lightning in here. See if we have any. A little bit, but that's well offshore right now. But we'll keep an eye on it. That's for sure. This is the other radar we've got here, the National Weather Service radar. We can go to the high resolution radar, so kind of show up the bands a little bit better. So you can see here. Yep, there are some heavier bands now moving into Nassau County and South Shore of Suffolk County. And those are the heavier snow bands that we're going to be getting into through the night. Looking at the conditions right now, at Islip, 30 degrees. There is for some reason it's having trouble displaying the current condition over here. But 30 degrees. Northeast wind at 24, gusting to 30. That wind's going to get a lot stronger. Half-mile visibility right now being reported. And snow is already covering the ground already. We already have a gust of 41 over at Barnegat, or that South Seaside as well. So the winds are just getting started cranking as the storm starts winding up across our area. We will look at the models briefly, though I think more of a nowcasting situation. But the good news is, finally, there's some sense of the MTA, and they decided to shut down the Long Island Railroad, finally, because you can't run in these kind of conditions, all right? The LIRR service will shut down Sunday evening to support a safe and orderly shutdown of the LIRR system. Train system will be reduced on select branches as early as 7 p.m., and by 1 a.m. be fully suspended until further notice, all right? Our train time app and website might be delayed, so the Port Washington, Port Jefferson, and Babylon branches will operate hourly starting at 7 p.m., They don't even mention. Oh, maybe they'll get to the Ronkonkoma branch in a moment. Greenport branch service on West Hampstead will end at 11 p.m. Last trains to operate in each branch will be 11:45 p.m. Babylon to Penn Station, 11:43 Penn Station to Babylon. On the Far Rockaway, 11:07 Far Rockaway to Grand Central, 11:20 Grand Central to Far Rockaway. Hempstead branch is already shut down for construction. Long Beach branch, 12:12 a.m. from Long Beach to Penn Station, 11:58 p.m. from Penn Station to Long Beach. On the Montauk branch, 11:25 p.m. Spionk to Jamaica, 11:30 p.m. Jamaica to Spionk. The 9:42 p.m. Jamaica to Montauk will terminate at Spionk. Oyster Bay branch, it'll be the 10:53 p.m. Oyster Bay to Jamaica and the 8:45 p.m. Jamaica to Oyster Bay. On the Port Jefferson branch, it'll be 9:39 Port Jefferson to Huntington with connection to Penn Station. 11:27 from Port Jefferson to Huntington, with no connection available at Huntington, and the 11:52 p.m. Huntington to Penn Station, and the 11:46 p.m. Penn Station to Huntington, with connection to Port Jefferson. On the Port Washington branch, 11:26 p.m. Port Washington Penn Station, 11:28 Penn Station to Port Washington. On the Ronkonkoma branch, it'll be 11:07 p.m. Ronkonkoma to Penn Station, 11:17 p.m. from Penn Station to Ronkonkoma. And on the West Hampstead branch, it'll be 11:02 from West Hampstead to Grand Central and 10:57 p.m. Grand Central West Hampstead. And on the Brooklyn service, it'll be even though the Atlantic branch is underground for part of the way, it's not underground for the whole thing, so they can't run it. 12:35 a.m. Jamaica to Atlantic Terminal, and 12:44 a.m. from Atlantic Terminal to Jamaica, and they will restore service when it's safe to do so. And that is so that's what we got here. Of course, the Babylon branch has later service, of course, just because, and probably because it's elevated, it will fare better throughout the storm when it comes to bringing service back, which is what the main line should have been done. But so subway, we have A trains are only running from Lefferts Boulevard. Special shuttle they're still trying to maintain service on the above ground portions of the subway. I think that's going to be hard. So that's it for the subways. The buses, expect longer waits. They're running buses in the storm, which may not be such a great idea, but I guess they're going to try. Nice Bus made the wise decision to shut down from 9 p.m. tonight till 9 a.m. February 23rd. Probably going to have to extend that. All right, a little bit. I think it's probably going to take till noon at least. We'll look at the models and see when this thing ends. Suffolk County Transit suspended for 4 p.m. today and will remain suspended on Monday. So not even planning on giving them any service in the evening. Service is scheduled to resume at Tuesday with a delayed 10 a.m. start because the roads in Suffolk are going to be bad. Suffolk is going to get hit harder probably, which is why they're doing that. NJ Transit shut down as well at 6 p.m. today. So finally doing the right thing, not putting people and equipment in harm's way. This is not the kind of storm you want to try to operate service in. So let's go look at the models here. We'll just briefly look over what News 12 is reporting, and then we'll go to the models. All right. LIRR, suspending potential blizzard could produce thunder snow. So I've spoken about that. So let's go to the models here and look at our storm. So here it is. This is the GFS, obviously the model that's been predicting this all along, so we got to show it again. There's your really powerful bomb cyclone there. You can see the heaviest snow going over the Jersey Shore in Suffolk County over here on Monday morning, and then that's out. That's the precip rate. I want to look at the radar simulation, so we'll look at that. And there's that radar simulation shows it nicely. So we'll start getting heavier. Though it does seem to keep the heaviest stuff away It seems like a jog east on this particular run of the model. It's the 18Z run that we're looking at here. Not sure if I'm buying that. That would be encouraging if we do see that. That would be some encouraging news. If that were to happen, we would be spared the worst of it. At least when you look at this. But we'll go to total snowfall. Yeah, we're still going to get hit pretty hard. And it still could get close to 20 inches on the Jersey Shore. So my forecast is still pretty much, I'm not changing it at all. I think that some areas could get locally 2 feet. I think the Weather Service is overdoing. I don't think the city gets 20 inches. But that is what the GFS is showing. At least that is what that run is showing. We'll go to the high resolution GFS, which is the FV3. And yeah, I mean, this pretty much has it spot on, I think. But you can see the higher amounts, Jersey Shore, Suffolk County. Generally speaking, that's where you're going to get close to 20 inches. All right. So here we go. Here's our storm again. This kind of looks a little bit better on this one, I think, personally. You can see the heavier snow starting in, and then once you get toward even 10 o'clock, it's going to really start coming down. And it's going to come down through the night. And then we start getting a little, still going in the morning, still going in the afternoon a little bit, and then it finally tapers off. By the evening there, so that's what this storm is producing, and we look at the total accumulated precip here, and you see again close to that 2-inch mark in some areas. So that could be close to 2 feet in those areas, but I don't think the city gets it. I don't think the city gets 20 inches. I really don't. Obviously, our temperatures, we've gone over all this stuff, I think. I'm not really going to... We're just going to look at radar simulations now, right? Let's go to the HRRR next. The 18Z HRRR, which will go further out and show the whole storm. HRRR also showing a similar pattern, though it does give those 2-inch liquid amounts. So let's look at the snowfall. The actual radar simulation here. So here's the radar simulation. on the HRRR. And you can see there's heavier snow bands there going over us throughout the night. The winds pick up. And then as we get toward later in the day tomorrow, it starts to slowly taper off. By evening, it should end. But this is a big storm and a slow-moving storm, so it's not in a rush to go. So total snowfall, yeah, they're probably looking at the HRRR, which does give most areas close to 20 inches. I don't see 2 feet here, but I'm trying to figure out what the Weather Service is doing. But still, I don't see 20 inches over the city. I really don't see that. That's the HRRR run, all right? Let's go to the NAM. This is the other run that's kind of showing us, again, that you can see that gradient that I'm talking about at East End and Jersey Shore getting the brunt of it as far as the amount of snowfall goes. So, again, you can see the heavy snow already moving in, and we're already seeing heavier snow over our area, those darker blues. And we're going to see even more of that. Right there, you can see some of those darker blues right there. Ooh, yeah, look at that. So those darker blues move in. The NAM's actually, I think, initializing very well. Because those darker blues are already here. We're already seeing the heavier snow. The railroad probably should have considered ending service a little sooner. Because if this model is correct, you're going to have those blizzard conditions really shortly. You can see the isobars tightening up after 10 o'clock or so. And then as we get toward Monday, you can see the snow slowly start to wind down. All right. So there's the NAM, and the NAM has backed off, I think, a little bit on the liquid equivalents. Not really. But you see that gradient that I'm talking about. So the East End and the Jersey Shore, in those pink colors there, that's where you could get 20 inches or more of snow in that area. Whereas here, Nassau County, the city, I think it's going to be more like 15. A foot to like 15 inches, I think. All right. So when we look at our total snowfall, you can see they have another option called Farrier SLR, which is a little lighter. This might be underdone. And we also could have total positive snow depth change. This probably is underdone. That's another thing because that accounts for melting. But if we're there could be because the temperatures are borderline. But we are all below freezing, so below freezing is all that matters. You just have to be below freezing. And we are. So let's now go to the HDRPS model. As we go through all of them, but honestly, I think this is going to be the last time we're going to look at these models. Maybe we'll look at them again. We'll see. This is the HDRPS, and you see it has that wave of heavier snow that we're going to be we're experiencing now. Earlier on, there's your low, really wound up here, really wound up, and then the heavy snow over Long Island and the Jersey Shore overnight. And you can see Suffolk County really getting it on the chin, especially the Twin Forks. I think that's where you're likely to see the 2 feet amounts. And it's still coming down, even 6 in the morning on this model. Still, you see a little bit of one band there that's sitting over the city. Not a tremendously intense band, but that could be an inch an hour. And then we start to see a taper off throughout the day. So, total snowfall on this particular HDRPS run. And you can see here, we've got that just over a foot amount in the city, like 15, 16, and then 17, 18 inches. And then as you get toward the East End, you start seeing those 20 amount. Especially right along the Jersey Shore, it's got a little area. And this is a model that can nail these snowfall totals pretty well. So that's why I'm thinking East End, Eastern Suffolk, and Jersey Shore. Maybe it'd be more Jersey Shore that we see those 2 feet amounts. That is what we're looking at on the HDRPS model. Let's go to the RGEM model now. This is the RGEM model. This was too light. I don't think that's going to verify. It's a little on the light side. Of course, I would like it to verify, but I don't think that's what we're going to see here. So the RGEM tracks a little further east. I think this is a little too far east. But we'll see. We'll see if this trend continues when we look at the 0Z run models. I think that will be the last ones I'll look at this point. Kind of just watching the storm at this point. The other issue is the winds, so let's talk about that. And the winds are already picking up. And once we get toward 10 o'clock, this is the HRRR wind model. We have gusts close to 40 across Long Island. Already Jersey Shore seeing 40 to 50. And then As we get into Monday morning, 1 a.m., this is when the winds really start picking up here. 64 over, and we see 51-mile-an-hour winds here. 6 o'clock. It looks like Nassau County, we could have wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Jersey Shore, not as bad, but look at what happens over Suffolk County. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, maybe even 75, maybe even hurricane force on Montauk Point. And it looks like the worst of the winds are trending a little more east, which at least I'd like to see, but it's not really going to help eastern Suffolk County, where you're still going to see winds 50 to 60 miles an hour, and perhaps up to 70 miles an hour on Montauk. And then as we get to 12 o'clock noon, it starts pulling away, but you still see Montauk gusting up to 75. Here we've got gusts to 43. They're down the Jersey Shore 38. And then 4 o'clock, we've got winds that are backing off into the 40s and 30s over Nassau. That's still pretty bad. But 55. So still got the blowing snow. It's not until we get to 8 o'clock that we start seeing some more normal wind speeds, 35 and 25, non-damaging winds. But it's still going to be windy. There's still going to be drifting of snow out there, especially with the temperatures being below freezing here, 27. And they will stay at 30, 32. Won't be frigid tomorrow, but it's going to feel frigid with that wind and the blowing snow. Definitely going to have that blizzard look to it for sure. So we'll go to the windy.com and look at the European. At this point, I think, pretty much think we've got the wind patterns. So I think the worst of the winds hopefully will avoid us. But let's take a look at the European here, which says 7 a.m. I'm trying to get to the when the brunt is. Yeah, like 7 a.m. So Nassau County, we got wind gusts to 45 miles an hour. But as you get toward eastern Suffolk, it's the worst of the winds stay right offshore, however. You can see it's eastern Suffolk that gets into these stronger winds, especially Montauk Point. I think you have a good chance of getting a hurricane-force wind gust out of this thing. And then finally, it starts to die down by the evening a little bit. All right? So that's what I got for you right now on this storm. I'll have another update for you. Hopefully, we'll have to take a look at power outages, too. I don't think we have too many right now. I'll take a look and see if we do. Probably not too many. We have hardly any outages right now. But that number is about to climb. So that's it for now. I'll have another update for you around this evening or so, the usual time that you're doing. There will be obviously no extended outlook. Probably until Tuesday, because we're going to be dealing with the storm. So that's it for now.